Okay, it is 5:30 on the 15th of August. July. I was being hopeful. We are in the boardroom of the Cache County School District, and welcome to all of you. Thanks for being here. We haven't had this many people here for a school board meeting for, wow, months. Thanks for coming. And we will first start with roll call.
Larry Jepson, board member.
Randall Bagley, board member.
Steve Norton, superintendent.
Roger Pulsifer, board member.
Terry Rhodes, board member.
Kathy Christiansen, board member.
Chris Corcoran, board member.
Jared Black, business administrator.
And Jeff Nilsson, board member, is excused this evening. Kathy Christiansen will lead us in our pledge and mission statement. Please join us by standing.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our mission is to educate students for success in a changing world.
Thanks, Kathy. We will move on to the public input part of our meeting. Those who would like to speak, please know that public input is on our agenda as a consideration of our community. It doesn't have to be there, but we choose to put it there. And we have a few guidelines for public input. Number one, that you signed up. So I have 2 people signed up. And number 2, that comments are limited to 3 minutes. So you will see a 3-minute timer. Is that right, Jared?
Yes.
On the television screens in front of us. And the third thing is that personnel comments are not acceptable here. The fourth thing, please be respectful, because this is a public meeting, and as such, all comments in the microphone and sometimes not in the microphone are picked up and recorded for public record. So first we have Jeff Sweet on the list of people who would like to speak for public input. When you get to the microphone up here, there's a little tiny button, I'm told, that you need. Okay, never mind. It's on.
Okay. I just wanted to take an opportunity to thank the school district for their summer school program, their Learning Lab program. All 3 of my children have participated in it. I realize they have 1 more day. It's been excellent. It's been beyond my expectation of what would take place. They not only are more self-confident in their academics, but also it's helped bridge the gap with the social structures that we lost during the whole COVID thing. So I just wanted to express my thanks, my gratitude to all those that participated in that and made that happen.
You're welcome. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate that. Next on the list to address the board will be Carl Lambert.
My comments really is a question. I don't know if you can answer it, but I'll ask the question anyway. So I've been following a lot about the critical race theory, and I know that in Utah, the governor has said that it won't be taught, and I read Terry Rhodes' comments. It was really good explanation of where it stands in Utah. But the question I have is, I know a teacher that last year was receiving emails about critical race theory, and I believe I found a document online that it was about CRT to all the principals in the state, or at least the county, I think. And so I guess my question is, if it's not being taught, this information that's being sent out to the teachers and the principals about CRT, I guess I'm wondering is it really not being taught, or is it, anyway, that's my question. I don't know if you can answer it or not, but.
Well, we can't really have discussion during this time.
Okay.
But I will tell you that, that in our district, we have already instructed everyone that that's not to be taught, and it's not currently part of the curriculum in Utah or in Cache. Would you like to?
If you wouldn't mind, you might have found a document that I sent out, and it was sent out for information purposes.
Okay.
Because we have a lot of people who all of a sudden have no idea what critical race theory was. So an attempt to educate, and that was what the attempt was. I did send out some material that was, I thought, was very informational. It came from Hillsdale College, and I thought presented the idea of what it is and how it has developed over time and what's going on. But it was just sent for informational purposes. If I do find some other information that I think will help our teachers to understand what the topic and what the discussion is all about, because for many, if you're not in the history or social studies field, they had no idea what the whole theory was about. And so we will try to educate, because you can get yourself into a situation where you might be talking about something in a particular classroom and not even know that you're getting close to talking about something that we might not want to cover in the critical race theory realm. So,
Thank you.
Does that answer your question,
Yep,
or would
it
you
does.
like more follow-up later?
No, I think it's good.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, Carl. Okay, moving on, our next item on the agenda is the oath of office for our new business administrator.
so we're going to go down front probably.
And there will be a picture afterwards, so hold your pose.
Because nobody cares if they hear me. Okay, raise your right arm to the square and repeat after me. I, Joseph Jared Black,
I, Joseph Jared Black,
having been appointed to the office of business administrator,
having been appointed to the office of business administrator,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties
and that I will discharge the duties
of my office with fidelity.
of my office with fidelity. Thank you.
She took one while you were in.
Okay, next on our agenda is the consent agenda, and I will take a motion to approve or ask questions about the consent agenda. First, let's have a motion.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
I second it.
Any questions, concerns? All right, then we will take a vote.
Okay, the voting has closed and the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right, next up is the action agenda. We have a request for approval of the 2021-22 TSSA plans from each of the schools. First of all, I should ask, did all of you read yours? Excellent.
Yes.
And we should have finished all of the editing. For those who may not know, we have been working on these for 4 weeks. The principals worked on them for weeks before that, but this is money that comes to the district directly from the legislature to the schools through an account called the Teacher and Student Success Account. And they are required each school is required to write a plan for what they want to do with the money that they're given. They're given the money based on how many students they have. It's a per student amount. And then this school board approves or disapproves those plans, and each of us have a certain number that we have to read and edit and work back and forth with the principals to make sure that they are as they should be. And now we will approve those plans. So I will take a motion.
I make a motion to approve the 21-22 TSSA plans.
I second it.
Any questions or concerns? All right, all in favor, we will vote.
Okay, the voting is closed and the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Next on the action agenda is the InTech re-recommendation of the USB waiver for their seat time is what it is.
So we have had a waiver from USBE Rule R277-700, which is the state graduation requirements. And rather than 1.5 credits of PE, our students are only required half a credit of PE under the waiver, and rather than 1.5 of art, only 1 credit of art, if they substitute those credits with STEM credits, CTE, or early college or foreign language credits. And so they're still required the same number of credits. In fact, we require 26 to graduate, but they have to substitute those if they want to use that waiver. We've had that for the last 3 years, and to reapply for that waiver, we need our authorizer approval.
Excellent. How many of your students take advantage of that?
It's about a third, roughly the same number as do our early college program. There are a few who go and do BTech. Most of our students don't do that. They just kind of follow the regular graduation requirements.
Okay, great. Anyone else have questions for Principal Stanger? All right, well, I will take a motion to approve this re-recommendation of this waiver of graduation credits for them.
I move that we approve the InTech re-recommendation of USBE waiver of R277-700-6, 12, and 13.
I second it.
All in favor, we'll vote.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Next up, we have our reports agenda, and
I didn't have to vote yet, did you?
I don't have anything listed.
Oh, now I do. Mine come up late.
Now
Okay, the voting is closed and it passes unanimously.
voting was unanimous. Thank you. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. Okay, next up is the reports agenda, and we have the emergency response training event that you should have all received an email from Kurt Jenkins with his PowerPoint presentation on this. So he's not going to present the PowerPoint tonight, but is here to explain it and answer any questions.
Thank you. I don't have anything that's spelling, grammar, or format, so it should be a lot easier.
I didn't even get it, so you're in luck.
And I brought some muscle with me just in case. So I've invited.
I've been warned, thank you.
Lieutenant Michael Shunbarchi with the Cache County Sheriff's Office, and Doug Fulmer, who is Assistant Chief of Operations for Logan City Fire Department. Did I get that right, Doug? Okay. All right. Good. Those are the brains behind this event. So apparently the county does this every other year, and as a school we decided to tag along with it. And as you saw, some of the objectives for our school was to practice, test, and observe emergency response protocols of our students and school employees. And then we're going to debrief afterward of what went well and what we could have done differently. So this event takes place Monday at Green Canyon High School, and it's a pretty big deal. We've got players from the hospitals and fire and sheriff's department, so it's a pretty big deal. We've had about 130 people from our district sign up in some capacity. It could have been any employee. And what we'll do is actually simulate a classroom. So we'll use about 7 or 8 classrooms at that school with someone acting as a teacher, someone acting as students, the counselors, office staff, principals, while the event is taking place. So we don't know all the particulars of the event for reasons that are smart, that we don't understand all of that. And then law enforcement and EMS, they have their own objective, which is to halt and stop the damage, right? So we're really essentially just testing out our system and our training that we've been having for the past several years, and just that's kind of where we are.
Cool. So so I don't find an email from you in my CCSD account.
I didn't have anything either.
For your PowerPoint.
Oh, really?
And I can't gain access through Board Docs.
Okay.
It tells me I have to
Carolyn was
request.
supposed to send that out, so
Okay.
I can send, I'm sorry about that, I can send you a downloaded copy of that.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
If you could just send one to each of us.
Sure.
Or have Carolyn do it, that would be great. When we try to get in through Board Docs, it says that we don't have access, so we have
okay.
to request access.
All right, it could have been like a Google Docs that, okay. Yeah.
So is this like a
It
live
was a
shooter
riveting
event?
PowerPoint, by the way.
It's what?
It was a riveting PowerPoint.
I'm
so
sure.
I didn't get to see it.
Is this like, I'm assuming that it's like a live shooter event.
Exactly.
Because
Yes.
fire drills and earthquake drills and stuff like that, we do all the time. And
Right.
unfortunately, in our world right now, they're less likely than a live shooter.
Correct.
So, so will there be teachers there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have, we won't have anyone under 18. We didn't want to go that route to have students or anything there. So the campus will be closed, roads will be shut off. There aren't going to be any events held at the school till after we're completed, which would be about noon that day. So some people will be assigned as teachers. They won't know that till they get there on Monday. And we have people who will be students. We will have assessors. So some of our people, Jenda being one of those, will be, we have some iPads that will go around, and we're going to be filming the incident so that later we can use it for some training purposes. And we'll have observers. We have some USBE staff that will be there from their Safe and Healthy Schools who will be attending that. And
Will there be any emergency vehicles there with lights and sirens? So we need to be prepared for questions or emails from patrons or whatever?
Yes, and law enforcement has sent out an email with a document on it, and we copied that and put on our social media accounts already for that.
Is this the first time our district has participated in this?
To this degree, right, Archie?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Anybody else have questions? Excellent. So will you come back and report later about how it went, or just send us an email, or how will you?
Either any way you want me to do it, I'll be glad to do that.
Okay.
I'll have my PowerPoint ready for you next time.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Kurt.
All right.
Thanks for helping us to be trained to be safe.
Well, I have a lot of help, so yeah. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, moving on, we will have a discussion about graduation for the next school year, 21-22, led by Mike Lichty.
Well, the last couple of years, because of COVID, our graduation exercises have been a little different, held at school sites, and you've all had a chance to participate in those. The schools are asking right now, because they're not far off, they need to make reservations and arrangements. So what would be the intention of the board for the graduation in spring of 2022? That's what the discussion needs to be.
What do they want to do?
Well, I cannot talk for every school, but a lot of them like what they've been doing the last couple of years, and that they tweaked it from the first year to the second year because some things were lifted. The requirements weren't quite so tough, but really it comes down to the board, because the board, the graduation is represented by the school board, so that's why they're asking. They don't want to overstep their bounds on graduation.
What's the comparison in cost between doing it up at the university and doing it?
Well, they have really no cost the last couple of years, but it limits what they can do, the type of audience that they can have, and the size of the audience and those types of things. But there is a definite difference in cost. But, I say we take the cost out of the discussion. It's really, what the parents really like is it's their child, their moment, and it's quick. That's what the parents like.
With the new way they've been doing it.
Except that for some of them, it was 3 days. It's spread out over 3 days, not just one.
Yeah, they made quite an event out of it. But when they actually went and graduated, it was really a one-on-one thing when they graduated, and they were there with a group of friends, their friends. But here again, it's every district in the state's been different on this. And all the schools are asking right now is some direction from the board. And it doesn't have to be decided tonight, but they would like to know, the first part of August so they can make plans one way or the other. We're assuming the university will open up again.
Is that true?
Yeah, it already has. In fact, I think we're all aware that the state legislature actually mandated that there be no masks during this coming year.
So they're doing in-person classes.
Yeah, it's in person, no social distancing, no masks.
Yeah, so it's really to you guys' discussion. But Roger, they really like what they have been doing.
I really like Skyviews. They had a great sound system. People could hear, and sitting in the football stands, I thought it was great.
Yeah. And the weather cooperated.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Chris, you had some concerns about this before. How do you feel after going through this last
I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I think there are two things that I think we need to seriously consider about that approach. I've said this before, but it's really not a good idea to make permanent changes based on on an extraordinary event like that. And I understand that people like quick. I mean, I think anybody who goes to any event like a graduation or a church service or a funeral or anything wants it to be 5 minutes long. You know, there's that class of person that just doesn't want to, you know, deal with those kinds of rituals. But I just want to emphasize again that it's a community event. It's not an individual event. And so I think we have to think about this on a community, in a community context, and not on an individual context. It's not about honoring, you know, the one, even though that's certainly part of it. It's about the, you know, the common community investment. And I frankly think there's something lost if you try to gain efficiency and focus on the individual as opposed to the community's investment in that achievement. But, you know, my observation, I only attended the Green Canyon. It was great. But by the time they had finished the things that had happened the day before, there weren't as many people who attended as there would have been if there had just been one event. But the second thing, you know, pertaining to the university, I don't think this is, you know, a big, you know, that the university has a big financial stake in this or anything, but, you know, where we only have 30% of kids who go on to university. Now, I'm not talking about Cache Valley, I'm talking about generally. As I've said before, I think there's something aspirational about holding it at the university. There's certainly something safe because we don't have to worry about the elements, but there's something aspirational about having it at the university that I think helps to focus, you know, the students and family, their attention on what the next step is, you know, and in terms of their progression and education. So I personally like the university venue because you don't have to worry about the weather, for one thing. Secondly, it accommodates a lot more people. Thirdly, it adds an aspirational element that I think is really key. I think we kind of assume that more kids go to college than do, but you know, it's a big problem that there's a big gap there where kids feel it's unattainable. To get them onto a college campus, to get families onto a college campus, especially one that, you know, represents so much in this particular community, takes some of the mystery out of it and helps, I think, to open that door potentially. So those are my feelings about the venue itself.
Larry?
I think Chris touched on it, but I like the strength of the unity of bringing the whole group together and graduating as a class in the university setting. I think it has a more powerful effect on them as a group than the spreading it out over 2 or 3 days and the quick, easy graduation.
Randall?
I think, I don't know, I look back at my own graduation, I don't remember much about it, but I think the students today, they have a graduation that's unique and it's memorable and it's something they're going to remember. And I think the students, if they had their choice, would choose to do what they're doing now. I think their parents would, and I think the administration would. So, you know, it is nice to get together, but I look at my own parents. I had 4 kids that graduated. They come up to the graduation and they hiked up the hill and they found a spot and they says, that's the last one. They're not coming to another one. So they would come up to my other kids at graduation. We'd go out to dinner, but then they would take off. They said they weren't going to endure that. So I think a lot of people, you know, they don't care for that. So my vote would be to let the administration choose what they want to do. They could either, you know, do something creative at their own school or else go up at the university. But I would that would be my choice, to let the administration decide.
Steve, do you want to weigh in on this?
Right now.
Okay. Well, we're not deciding anything tonight.
Yeah, I just want to hear the thoughts.
I went to all 5 of our high school graduations this year, and everyone was, I thought, really amazing. And I especially appreciated Chris's remarks. I think you should publish your speech from Green Canyon. I thought it was inspiring. As I visited with parents and staff at each of the schools, because I asked every staff, especially the staff and the principals when I was at each school, how do you feel about this? How do you want to proceed? How do you want to move forward with graduation? Is this too much work for you? Would you rather go back to the university? And at every school, I heard that they loved this year's format for graduation because it made them feel like a small town graduation at their own. This is our school, and we're here at our school to graduate, and they felt like it gave them the feeling of a small town, close-knit community feeling. And as far as the work goes, there was one school that said, well, it was more work for us to do it this way, but that's because we kept saying, and we could do this, and we could do this, and we could do this. So, but if we have more opportunity to do it this way, we would edit the procedures that we've done and rethink some things, like any project that you take on that you do multiple times, you streamline it as you move forward. But those are some of the comments that I heard. I enjoyed everyone. They were all great. I loved Chris's speech at Green Canyon. I thought it was very heartfelt. And I loved the girl who presented at Skyview, just like the inaugural poetry that was presented during President Biden's inauguration. That was wow. Anyway, every one of them had their highlights, and we'll go to everyone regardless. I mean, moving forward, whether it's at the university or at the schools, we'll try to get to them. So for us, if we don't have it at the university, we don't have dinner together. But
I would like to add one comment.
Okay.
So when I graduated, which was a long time ago, it was very similar to what Skyview did this year, in that it was just our school, at our school, and it was at Skyview in the auditorium. And so it kind of seems like that was the original way that graduations always were, and then it changed to this university thing. And I did like the intimacy of having it at their school with their parents. And I don't know if they would all fit in an auditorium if they did it that way anymore, but I liked that a lot. And I feel like my vote would be to allow the principals to choose how they would want to do it with input from their parents and from their students.
anyone else have any comments? We're not deciding tonight, so we can all think about it before our next meeting.
I'll just give you some history because I've been here a long time. We ended up at the university not because of it being a university. We ended up at the university because it's the only place in town big enough to house and let every parent, child, grandparent, uncle, anybody that wanted to come. So I think, I know that's what drove us to a bigger venue, was the fact that we started limiting tickets, and when you start limiting tickets, some people get left out. So what you have now is testing the waters of can you hold it at an individual school and not have a lot of people not be able to participate. And so some of the opportunities to have it only exist if you do it outside, because we don't have any facilities inside big enough to have the type of graduation ceremony where we honor everybody and let everybody come. That's why you've got hybrids, and that's why you had kind of a mixture of all kinds of ways. Skyview was the one, I think, that tried to get everybody in, and it was wonderful because the weather cooperated, and if you could guarantee that, it was a nice experience. But that's why we ended up in the venue up on campus. Now, all the things that Chris said are true, there's no question. So I think if you go back to the old method, you might get away with it for a few years, but I think what's going to happen as these classes get bigger, you're going to be pressed with, well, can everybody come to the main part? And the main part is not going to be like up at the college unless we say that it's going to be that way. And then you have, Mike said, not much expense, but I know how much the sound system cost at Green Canyon, or was it Skyview?
Yeah.
Skyview. And that's the only way you can do it out there. If you're going to do it, you've got to put some money into it. And you can make each of our stadiums fit for however big a population. You got to pay for that, because it's going to be probably more than one side bleachers, and so you're going to have to do some things on the lawn and things like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere down the road you start to get pressure. Well, we'd like to go someplace where we don't have to do so much work and we can get everybody in, because that's the issue you're faced with. So just a little history, because most graduations till schools got big did take place just at their own campus.
And I know at Mountain Crest, they only allowed the parents of the speakers there. And I know parents would have liked to have heard some of the speakers, and they couldn't go in. So that's another thing.
But those were broadcast.
Right, but it's not the same.
Anyway, any other thoughts, discussion? Larry, you look like you're poised to.
I've just been taking it all in.
All right.
I can get some more input from principals, or actually invite them to the meeting in August if you want to hear from them, but maybe that'll put you on the spot.
I think that'd be great. I'd have each of them come and just give them their input.
They have to be back in the schools in August anyway, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we wouldn't be interrupting their vacations.
I agree with Randall. I'd love to have, a discussion with them present and, get some of their feedback as well.
Okay. I'll invite them. I think it's August 5th,
Yes.
the board meeting. I'll invite them to that meeting.
That'll be excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
And
Thanks,
you might
Mike.
want to tell them that if they have any opportunity to gather information from parents, students, if they already have some from parents and students, let us know what it is.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike. So, Gary, you're doing the Kevin Brown? Okay, great. Next on the agenda is the report about the Kevin Brown presentation coming up in September.
And I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage. I have not heard Kevin Brown, but I understand you guys have as a board, so that's great. And my PowerPoint presentation isn't quite ready either. So, no, what you need to know though is we've scheduled this, and it'll take place on September 14th. And we have a regular Professional Development Day on September 24th, but that day is already booked plus. And so we were not able to bring Kevin in on that day. And it's a little tough with elementary and secondary having different professional development to get everybody together and then split them out after. So what we've decided to do is a late start on September 14th. His presentation is 1 hour long. So there is a little bit of discussion still on the time, whether we start at 7:30 or 8. I'm not exactly sure, but I do know there will be a late start for all schools. It will be held at Green Canyon, and all staff will be invited. Now, this does cause a little bit of a conflict with our bus drivers because some of them will need to be out on their route already by that point, but what we're going to do is make sure that that's recorded and available to the bus drivers also. With the late start, there will be no AM kindergarten or preschool that morning, but they will hold their afternoon sessions of both the preschool and kindergarten.
And it's going to set the theme for the whole school year. We're going to...
Yeah, the title is The Hero Effect, Being Your Best Self. So
we have about 2,500 employees. Can they all fit in there?
According to Tim, we can.
Okay. Oh, is this in the gym?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this the day that everybody's going to be wearing their T-shirts?
Yeah, we have T-shirts.
I don't know if they're going to get them there or if they'll be bringing them there. I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but yes, they will all get a T-shirt, but they may get it at that venue at the moment. I don't know for sure.
So as a board, we got the announcement to order a T-shirt, and I'm thinking that maybe some members of the board didn't order one because they didn't know what it was for. So can they order one?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fill out, I think you got that little survey.
I'll have Emily send that out again.
Okay.
To you board members. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for Gary? All right, thank you for your impromptu. Next item on our reports agenda is board member reports.
Okay, I'd like to do one.
Okay.
All right, so my report is for Jared. And as a board, we would like to welcome you to our Cache County Board of Education and also to Cache Valley. We know that you have lived here before, but you've probably noticed that lots of things have changed in this area since you were here. And I also think you probably knew just about every person in Emery County and almost every event that was going on, and that has also changed for you as well. So this is going to be a new experience with a lot of new discoveries, and we wanted to help you out just a little bit with that. So this is a welcome basket for you, and in the basket there's a little book that has a list of 117 amazing things that you can do in Logan and Cache Valley. And then there's a collection of 6 or 7 gift cards for different restaurants, so you can go to the different restaurants and see which ones that you like. And then there are a few gifts of products that come from Cache Valley. And honestly, if we would have put every product made in Cache Valley in a display for you, it probably would have taken a wheelbarrow. So this is just a few of those things. We want to thank you for accepting the job as business administrator, and we really look forward to working with you. And so you kind of know how things work on our board. We're also giving you a copy of our handbook. So welcome aboard.
Hey, Kathy, I love Cache Valley. Love it. But does 117 seem a little high? Exciting things to do in Cache Valley? Because I'm thinking I'm about 17 or 18. I'm not sure. Anyway.
You'll just have to get the book.
Okay.
Does that say Cache Valley or Cache County?
It's Logan, let's see, 117 amazing things to do in Logan, and isn't it Cache County?
I need that book.
See, you got the whole Idaho side there, but
About 20 over here.
Yeah, the Prestonite Rodeo is next week.
The Preston Rodeo is in it, is in the book.
That's right, so it must be the Idaho side too.
Got all the Napoleon Dynamite stuff.
Maybe after Jared's through reading it, he'll let you borrow.
He's dog-eared it for me.
Well, thank you, if I could just say that, and I am equally excited to be here. Everyone has been super nice, and it is a lot of change, so thank you for recognizing that, but we're really excited to be back here. Other than Main Street, the valley feels the same to me, but Main Street is different.
Wow. Anybody else still want to do a board member report after that? All right, I guess we'll move on to the board president report, which is long. Sorry. First of all, I need to ask about, there is a upcoming Leadership Academy sponsored by USBA in September. We can take 3 members of our board, not counting me because I don't count, but no, because I'm on the USBA Board of Directors, I don't count as one of those 3. So far, not that one. Sorry, we moved through our agenda and I forgot to get this out. So far, I have heard from Kathy, Randall, and Jeff who would like to go. But we can put as many as we want on a waiting list. So Chris, Larry, and Roger, do you have any interest to go? It's on the
16th and 17th.
16th, 17th, and 18th of September, which is...
I'd be glad to be on the waiting list.
Okay,
I'll be out of town.
all right.
You can put me down if there's a opening.
Well, you may find this hard to believe, but there are some school boards in the state that don't support these and don't send anyone. So there will be openings.
And they've always been good, so.
That's my favorite one
Yeah.
that we go to.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be available. I'd plan to go if there was an opening.
Okay. All right. Then I will put, so hopefully Roger and Chris get in too. That will make it more fun.
Tickets down at 2 o'clock now. I'll wait for you.
What are you seeing?
The next thing I need to ask you is, so in the new governor's roadmap for the state, for One Utah, in his education section, he envisions and is pushing and moving toward governor-appointed members of the State Board of Education. So at USBA, they're interested to know what your feelings are or what you think about that, if you have any thoughts about that. Rather than having all the members of the State Board of Education elected from their regions, they would be governor-appointed. So USBA is interested to know how local boards feel about that and how USBA, so that would determine how USBA works to either support or oppose that move by the governor.
I oppose it.
Okay.
I think it's just nice to have representatives chosen by people in their area,
Okay.
rather than just having one person choose. And not that I have anything against Governor Cox. I think he's a fine man. But I think sometimes when you are choosing, there are outside influences that can cause you to choose a certain way that isn't as representative of all the people.
Okay. Anyone else have thoughts on that?
I agree with what Kathy said.
I agree also, but I know that the Board of Trustees for the tech colleges, they are appointed by the governor, and I'm sure that's probably why they're leaning that way. You know, those people.
Higher ed's that way too, isn't it?
Well, it's all part
Board
of
of
the same
Trustees.
thing. Yeah, they're appointed by the governor.
I would say I'm actually in favor of it, and the reason why is that I think with the shift in the way that these elections take place, where they've become, I believe, more political by including political party affiliation, I think it's actually damaged the process. I would like school boards to be selected in a much more apolitical way. And my observation is over the past several, administrations, we've had governors who are totally reasonable, who are pragmatic. I have no question that it would continue in that vein, but I feel like, given that there's been a move to kind of politicize how at least the state school board's elected, I would prefer to have the governor appoint in the same way that they do, the regents for USHE and for the tech colleges as well. If it were, the way it was, prior to a couple of years ago, where we didn't worry about people actually having to list their political party affiliation, I would be against it. But
Okay.
I would completely agree with Kathy, but that shift kind of concerns me.
Okay.
My first thoughts would be to agree with Kathy, but I look at some of the folks that have been elected and the problems it's brought to the state board, and I think maybe we had more common sense among the people on the board prior to the shift to elected.
Anyone else? Okay, I will take that information back. The next question is, came up today in the Joint Legislative Committee at the Nebo School District that the superintendent participated in remotely, and I was there in person. And this is an idea from Dave Styler, who is the superintendent of Millard County School District. And he suggested that we petition the school, so we were talking specifically about legislative priorities for the 2022 session. And there has, just this week, been talk about tax rebates because of huge surpluses of money at the state level, not just in education, but in general. And Dave suggested that we, as a association, petition the legislature for $150 million of that to come to education to remove all curricular fees. And the BAs who were there in attendance today felt like $150 million would easily cover for all 41 districts to remove all the curricular fees, so no parent would be charged for textbook rental or locker rental or any art supplies, the things that they get charged for classes that they sign up for. Often they are elective classes, but they are part of their schedules for graduation, and that we suggest that as a substitute or as a form of tax rebate to the parents, because parents who have kids in school pay a lot of money in fees, and it wouldn't it wouldn't take care of football and cheer and all of the extracurricular fees, but the curricular fees, it could act as a tax rebate to all the parents in the state. Anyway, that was an idea that just came up today, so I wanted to ask what you think about that off the cuff or on the fly. Any thoughts?
I'm in favor of getting more money.
I think it's a great idea.
I'd support it.
I think it would be awesome for parents to just lower some of the fees that they would have to pay, that they're paying at registration. And then the last thing that I had that also came out of the JLC meeting today was that we need to constantly, and this comes back to Chris's statement, and not just statement, but idea that we need to be talking about their return on investment. But we need to remind the public, people in our communities, that the money that is spent in our schools are the best dollars they invest to create a great future for ourselves and our children. And we need to have our elevator speeches ready for that, especially since I just got my property tax notice today. So we need to, anyway, it was suggested that we should all be prepared to remind people that the money they invest is one of the best investments. The money that they pay to education is one of the best investments for everyone's future, the whole community's future. Anyway, that's the end of my
Just a reminder that nothing we did as a school board or school district raised taxes. It was.
That's right.
It's the market value of homes that went up.
That's right. It was. I quickly looked at mine, and the rate is exactly the same all the way across. I thought the mosquito abatement was very brave to raise their taxes this year, or tax rate this year.
Yeah.
That's not true, because when you have an outstanding school district, it attracts people, and so you're putting pressure on the market, Dr. Norton. So you could argue that by being outstanding, you actually are part of the problem.
Just the fact that we exist,
All right, moving on to the superintendent's report.
I don't have anything other than to welcome Jared, and he and Dale have been working hand in glove, and Dale felt comfortable enough. He flew up to Puget Sound, and he's probably sailing right now with his son. So we appreciate having you here, Jared.
Awesome. All right, arriving at the end of our agenda, we will adjourn.
See you at the party.